Welcome back to the Shred the Spread podcast. This is the NFC East Divisional Preview, and I hope you guys are all ears because Donnell and I are going to be talking, yapping, and getting ready because we're going to have some very, very interesting talking points. But before we get into that, let me bring on my co-host, the man, the myth, the legend, Donnell. What's going on, man?
Yeah, what's going on, my guy? First things first, fuck y'all, fuck Hard Roseman, and fuck the whole Philadelphia organization. I don't know how y'all got Jahan Dotson, bro, but there's gonna be a lot of moving to play there, but that's when you're here, they're there. But what's up, man? Let's get talking about this NFC East, bro. Action packed, a lot of fire going on. One of those divisions that had some movement today and some weird movement throughout the whole offseason. Bro, I'm just ready to go ahead and dive in and talk my shit about my Commanders.
The very anticipated NFC East divisional preview by a lot of our listeners. Let's waste no more time. Let's get right into it.
Let's go.
All right, here we go. So in all likelihood, Deshaun Jackson's going to at least get a return. Deshaun Jackson gets a block. Are you kidding? Way downtown. Oh, what a shot from Curry. That is a disgusting act by Randy Moss.
The NFC East leads off with the divisional favorites, the Eagles, minus 110 to win the division on the best book right now. I've already bet them at plus 120, plus 110. Yeah, I'm all over the Eagles, obviously. They have the 9th easiest schedule, the 2nd best offensive line. Cam Jurgens taking over for the Hall of Fame retired Jason Kelce. And for those of you guys who do not know, Jason Kelce actually handpicked Cam Jurgens to be his replacement. I think that is awesome. I think leaders of teams need to do this more, and really, because obviously if you spent your whole career one team, you want to pass the torch on to someone that you trust in. I feel like it's just kind of doing your due diligence. And obviously he loves the Eagles. He was the man forever in that town. And I will say, Cam Jurgens, I've got high hopes for you. Jason Kelce's been working out with you all preseason, and I am looking for someone who's going to replicate his offense. They already, I've seen that their Eagles, just getting this out of the way, 2 futures I made for the Super Bowl, the Eagles to be in Chiefs matchup 30-1, and the Eagles and Bengals matchup 50-1. If you haven't seen the AFC North divisional preview, I'm not trying to give any spoilers away, but there's a reason why I have the Bengals in that bet. I will say, Donnell, I'm really just hoping for health from this team, kind of similar to the Jets. I feel like the Eagles are in a similar spot. I'm really just hoping for some health. CJ Gardner-Johnson returning. Obviously, Fletcher Cox and Kelce both retiring. BG, Brandon Graham, in his final year. There is one thing I am worried about from last season, Donnell, and it's the picking up of the blitz. We saw Jalen was struggling versus the blitz at the end of last season. Anytime a team brought pressure, it just felt like we could not do anything on offense. And a prime example was for everybody who watched that divisional matchup in the playoffs last year. The Eagles just got absolutely bullied by the Buccaneers defense. It was embarrassing, I felt, but I will say I don't necessarily think that was all focused on not being able to pick up the blitz. I truly think that was a product of the wheels falling off the whole wagon. Everything what could go wrong did go wrong for the Eagles last year, and I know they lost a big leader in Jason Kelce. Jurgens taken over, as I said earlier, but I do feel confident. The one other thing that I'm really nervous about, I know Howie Roseman, I mean, we all see he goes cheap in certain spots, and linebacker has always been one. And we did kind of have some youth, and I'm hoping basically for the linebacker, for our defense's sake, I'm hoping for a Devin White career resurgence. I know it's weird because when we signed Devin White, for those of you guys who are on X or Twitter all the time, you do see that under that, it was like a lot of Buccaneers like, you can have him, he's a bum, he's a cancer. So I'm hoping now that he's in a different situation, he kind of, whatever it may be, whatever the problem he has in Tampa Bay, whatever, I'm hoping he does get his settled and figured out. I do think we have a really strong culture in Philly, and I'm not trying to have any rough locker room drama. I'm all over the Eagles to win the division. I love that Chiefs and Bengals prop for the Eagles matchup in the Super Bowl. There's just not much I think this division can contend with the Eagles with, putting bias aside. But yeah, I'm all over the Eagles for this NFC East division, Donna. I'm curious to see what you have to hear, or curious to hear what you have to say.
No, okay. All right, here's what I'm gonna say this. Non-bias, of course, I'm gonna say the Eagles, bro. The Eagles are definitely with the roster top down. Hire Rusman does a masterclass every goddamn fucking year. And I know you said you guys just really just like struggled to pick up the blitz last year. I feel like a lot of that was scheme. I mean, you guys were, it got to the point where when Brian Johnson was picking the plays, it got to the point where it was so repetitive, I could call the plays. Like you could literally it was very repetitive. It reminded me of Eric Bieniemy's offense. You guys literally that's literally what it was. Screenplay, RPO. That's gonna change beside Kellen Moore. I'm gonna let you know that right now. Kellen Moore, as much as I bagged on him when he was in Dallas and the whole thing about him, oh, he's the problem. He was never okay. Kellen Moore knows how to put those weapons in great positions to get it done. I feel like Kellen Moore will definitely do that with the addition of Jahan Dotson on top of that as the third.
I was waiting. I was letting you say that.
Yeah, with Devontae Smith and AJ Brown. Like, what are we talking about? With Saquon Barkley in the backfield, who was the whole Giants offense. And they will get fucking destroyed because of that. But here we are, and Howie Roseman decides to put off this fucking offensive masterclass that struggled last year. And on top of that, granted, like you said, he goes cheap in one spot. It is the linebacker spot, and honestly, I do believe in Devin White. I feel like Devin White's too young and honestly too fast of a linebacker to really be just get let up on right then. If he was a cancer, he wouldn't be there. I'm gonna be quite honest. I feel like you guys have a great culture there. Bringing back to me the defensive leader, and I get it. You will say your veterans, the defensive leader, Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, and I know Fletcher Cox retired this year. But getting C.J. Gardner-Johnson back was literally the spark of this defense. I feel like is needed.
I agree.
And guys, and mark my words, bro. And like I said, I'm a Commanders fan, but when I tell you, you guys should just go back and watch him play the Chiefs in the Super Bowl when there was basically no chance of winning, how that motherfucker was flying across the fucking field. He has the heart of a champion. I'm gonna let you know that now. So CJ Gardner-Johnson, I don't know why he doesn't get much rave as he should get way much more rave than what a lot of people give other safeties. Like you said, no Kelsey, that hurts a lot. But like you said, honestly, it speaks to a great organization when a person who retires from a franchise picks a predecessor to precede him. That just speaks to such a great organization. So therefore, you got to believe in that. You know what I'm saying? You have no choice but to believe in Cam Jurgens now, I feel like. So the O-line's going to be fine. I feel like the scheme's going to be way better. You only added more weapons to your offense. And on top of that, you infused some use in that defense. And I think like that's what you guys were missing on the outsides at corners. Bradbury is a safety now. They moved him to safety. Now you got Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean joining the mix to kind of give a run for the money for the QB2 spot. Mekhi Becton. I mean, I know he's not really a
looks
huge
like he's going to be
now.
starting on the right side of that line, though.
He's going to be, no doubt. And I feel like he's going to be put in a great position because of that only because of that RPO style. It's not going to be a pro pass style as what the Jets were going to be running with Zach Wilson and all that when Breece Hall got hurt and stuff like that. So he had injuries, but I feel like if he stays healthy, he's going to be a good path to be led with this offense, running the ball with Saquon Barkley. And he's honestly, I think he's more of a good run blocker than he is a pass blocker. So that's going to help a lot. And that defense got some help losing Hassan Reddick, but you got Bryce Huff. I'm sorry, is it Bryce? Yeah, Bryce Huff.
Yeah, Bryce Huff.
On the outside. So who had a dominant year with the Jets last year. So they made very good lateral moves. I mean, your biggest losses are what? Kevin Byard.
Yeah. Kevin Byard was very underwhelming in this backfield.
Very underwhelming. Shaq Leonard, he was very underwhelming when you signed him. DeAndre Swift. I mean, I have some love for Swift, but you play with Barkley.
Love Swift, but obviously Barkley's going to be an upgrade.
I mean, what? Quez Watkins. Like, what are we talking? Like, you replace him with a shot, but Jahan Dotson. Like, what the fuck? Like, the lateral moves this team has made. You guys, you gotta applaud it. Howie Roseman's in the class of his own as a GM. He's the best GM in the league in all the NFL. I said this for the last 3 years, right? After I used to clown him about drafting wide receivers because he can't draft a wide receiver to save his life.
He can't.
Yeah, but he turned it around by drafting Devontae Smith and going with the popular name, and then he traded for one. So he knew his hole in his game, and he cleared it up by bringing out the better part of his game, and that's getting fucking steals and trades. So, I mean, kudos to him. Like you said, the linebacker's going to be a bit of a question, but I feel like Zach Bond from the Saints is going to help a lot too.
He's been having a good camp.
Yeah, he has been having a good camp, and Eagles hype in the camp always comes high. You feel me?
That's true.
Now, and also Nakobe Dean. That's an underrated name too. That might be coming up. I don't know how much of him. I don't really pay attention to much of the camp.
He's been becoming more of a vocal leader. He's building more confidence. He's involved in more plays, and he looks like he knows what he's doing, is what a lot of people are saying.
And Good. So that means that Georgia voice is starting to come out too, which is really great because that pedigree of Georgia and then winning the national championship is definitely going to help that championship pedigree. But one question I want to see: can Jordan Davis turn this around? And I feel like a lot of people give him slack for it. I mean, he hasn't really played the greatest throughout his first 2 years, but that's my only concern. Can Jordan Davis get this going? Can he be the one player that can help stop the run? And that's going to be the biggest question for me when that comes to that defense, because that linebacker core is already weak. So your front seven gonna have to stop the run.
Yeah, I think with the retiring of Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis is just obviously going to go right to that role. He's going to get more snaps. He's going to be on the field more. He's going to be counted on more. And that's just going to be very keen to this defense. So how do you think Kellen Moore feels, dude? My God. He goes,
oh my goodness.
First of all, people, you guys do have to realize Kellen Moore had 2 number 1 offenses in his stint as offensive coordinator in the league. He's got a very, very solid opportunity to do that again. I mean, this guy comes into this team, a lot of question marks on offense, a lot of question marks just in the locker room. He doesn't know who the head coach is going to be, all this shit. He gets Saquon Barkley. He gets Jahan Dotson. I mean, this is just a dream for him. So he just has so many weapons. I know he's licking his chops trying to figure out how to score 40, 50, 60 points a game. I mean, he's got the weapons to do it, and I really just need to see it. So Kellen Moore, do what you've been doing, man. I know you've been kind of getting pointed blame and people kicking you out of town, but we got to realize when he was on the Cowboys as offensive coordinator, Dak Prescott was an MVP candidate. When he went to the Chargers, Justin Herbert he's always been, but he has always talked about one of the highest passing quarterbacks in the league. So I'm hoping he just comes over and just do what he does, score the ball, and let the defense worry about the defense. So that's the one thing about the Eagles. I agree with you. Jordan Davis, step up. We've got a lot of pieces that just need to fit in the puzzle. Don't overplay your boundary. If everybody can just play where they're supposed to, this team will be just fine. But again, just stay healthy for the love of God. Let's move on to the Cowboys. The 11th hardest schedule, the 10th ranked offensive line, and 6th ranked defensive line per Pro Football Focus, but that's mainly because of Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence masking their gaps and problems. Micah Parsons, obviously, most pressures on the quarterback last year. That guy he's everywhere. He never gets tired. He's a robot. This has just been, truthfully, an abysmal offseason for this team. I cannot believe Mike McCarthy is back on this team. I have a weird feeling that this has to do with power, because Mike McCarthy is kind of like he just kind of stands on the sideline, lets Jerry Jones does what he wants to do. Because I think that's one of the biggest reasons why they didn't just fire him and bring in Bill Belichick, because I think Jerry Jones knows Bill Belichick wouldn't take a shit. So I think Jerry Jones wants somebody who has won before in Mike McCarthy, but he knows he'll sit there and take his shit. Like, he's not going to overstep onto Jerry Jones' shoes and say, hey, we're not doing this. He's a yes man. And I think that's going to be kind of like, that's going to be a problem for the Cowboys, because how have they not paid CeeDee Lamb? I just want to say that right now. How have you let this problem leak this far into off season? Why is CeeDee Lamb not locked up under contract? I don't care what you have on that team. CeeDee Lamb needs to be on that roster, because if he is not out there, I know you have Brandon Cooks, but he is 80% of the offense. He had so many receptions, so many touchdowns, so many red zone targets last year. Like, if he is off of that team, their offensive production is going to bottom out, because he is an incredible route runner. And on top of that, he's one of the fastest wide receivers in the league and has incredible hands. He's just, how much can they take that for granted? And if Dak walks after this year, what is it? They lose like $50 million in dead cap. I'm just saying, this team sums up for one word in me, and that's fragile. And if you still have 10.5 wins on whatever book you use, I think there's like 1 or 2 books that still have it just heavily juiced. I'm on the under. I just don't see a path for this team to just go out there and dog walk everybody. I think they're going to struggle against the Giants. I think they're going to struggle against the Commanders, and they're for sure going to struggle against the Eagles. I mean, I know their schedule isn't terrible, but I just don't see this team taking huge steps this year. I think they're really going to have a down year.
But come on, Jared. They're all in. They're all in. Yeah, they're all in. So they went and got Ezekiel Elliott, Royce Freeman, and Eric Kendricks. You're all in. Like, what the fuck are we, bro? This is the funniest shit about the Cowboys, bro. And granted, I give them credit. They win games. If they want thing they know how to do, they know how to win regular season games. This year will be the complete opposite. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to drop off the face of the earth. No, I'm not going to say that because CeeDee Lamb is unguardable and he will torch everybody in the division. We understand that. He will torch everybody in the NFL. We understand that. But then you let Ezekiel Elliott go to let Tony Pollard be the guy, and you let Tony Pollard go so Ezekiel Elliott can now be the guy. Like, what? Like, make up your fucking mind. What was the point of letting Ezekiel Elliott go if he's going to and keeping Pollard? If the next following season you was going to let Pollard leave and then bring in Ezekiel Elliott, what sense did that make? That made no absolute sense in my goddamn mind. It makes no absolute sense in my goddamn mind how CeeDee Lamb is not the highest paid the highest, second, third. I don't give a fuck. Whatever he's asking to be, he has to be the highest paid receiver. Like, what are we talking about here? And then guess what? Micah Parsons is going to be due for a payday soon too, eventually. So like, there is so much pressure right now. You know what? Not even pressure, because you know what? This happens all the time. It's not even pressure no more at this point. This is the norm. This is literally the norm for the Dallas Cowboys. They live and breathe in all of the confusion and conundrum they cause themselves. They do it to themselves each and every year. Mike McCarthy still being there is an indictment. It's an indictment, okay? And I give him credit for winning games, but we know what Mike McCarthy is. Let's be real. Let's be real. And your O-line, you just let Tyron Smith walk. That was your best offensive tackle. Honestly, didn't Travis Frederick retire? Didn't the heyday of that O-line was Zach Martin, Travis Frederick, Lyle Collins, Tyron Smith. That shit's over. That shit's done. It is over. You're living like you had a game plan that 10 years ago to build offensive line from the draft, and you're literally doing the complete opposite now. Now, granted, you drafted offensive tackle. Kudos to you. But what have you done in free agency? Absolutely nothing. So why should I believe in anything you got to do right now? You lost a good amount of players. As a matter of fact, a lot of the Cowboys players followed Dan Quinn to Washington to play for the Commanders. You're starting center, your defensive ends who had depth when Dorrance Armstrong and Dante Fowler, like, you just lost. Oh yeah, by the way, too, I didn't think about this too. What was your Achilles heel last year in the playoffs? Fucking linebacker. What the fuck are you doing you let Leighton Vander Esch go? Cool. I mean, he wasn't really doing much anyway. He was injured riddled. What the fuck is Eric Kendricks? No offense to Eric Kendricks. He's a decent player. What the fuck is Eric Kendricks going to solve for you? Absolutely nothing. Like this, like it is like they have so many glaring holes. Now it's ridiculous. You're not all in this year. You was all in 2 years ago. That's what it really looks like. And now you're paying for it. You're like America right now. You bet all your money in the past. Now in the future, you're fucked. Now you're in fucking inflation. Now you got no fucking money. That's basically what's going on right now. So
not only you broke, you suck too.
Yeah, right, yeah. And you suck. And now you're about to pay a quarterback $55 million in dead cap. What the dude? It is literally going from bad for worse for Cowboys fans. And yes, they're gonna win games. They're not gonna make no noise. It's gonna be the same thing every year. Jared is right. What's the over under in wins? It better not be no double digits.
It was 10.5. I think it's down to 9.5.
Well, yeah. I think they finally fucking caught on. That makes no sense why there would be a double-digit win team. Matter of fact, I would still hit the under at 9.5. They're a 9-8 team.
That's why I got them at 9-8.
Yeah, they might be right there with the Commanders. They might have the same record as the Commanders this year. I'm gonna be quietly honest, and it's not even close. It's so sad. It's that talent in Dallas gets wasted year after year for the past 30 years, and it's a shame to see that's gonna be a waste season for. It is really, really ridiculous.
Yeah, fantasy heads. If you guys are looking for some running back value, Rico Dowdle. I have a feeling he might be the starting running back come week 3, 4, maybe 5. I think it's very known that Zeke Elliott has definitely lost a step. You kind of saw it in New England. Yeah, he's definitely a power back. He's probably going to be using the goal line, which kind of sucks. But I think Rico Dowdle, he might be the workhorse come here in a few weeks. I like what he has. He's fast. He's got good hands. I have a feeling he's going to be the main guy of the backfield. But that's just my kind of judging opinion. So, but let's move on to a team that's a little bit more exciting. And I've got a decent amount to say. Sorry about that. The Commanders. 13th easiest schedule. The one problem I do have them is their offensive line. The 27th offensive line, PFF. We have a mobile quarterback, so that's going to help a little bit. 19th in defensive line. New everything. New coach. New D-line. New offensive line. I did make a bet, Dino. Smile real quick.
No, I already did.
I threw some money on Jaden Daniels, Rookie of the Year.
Yep.
Dolphins like that, he's going to have rushing stats that are going to make up for his passing stats. That's most likely going to be behind Caleb Williams. But, dude, Jaden Daniels may rush for 10 touchdowns this year. I'm not kidding. He may rush for 10 touchdowns. The read option is going to be incredible. You have Austin Eckler, who is going to be, the handoff, the option, the RPO. Like, he can do it all. He definitely is not as fast, but Eckler is a smart halfback. He is really good on the option. He can block really well. He's smart. And that's what he needs. That is exactly what Jaden Daniel needs. He needs a veteran in the backfield that can help him be another set of eyes. And this roster has more upside than the Giants. By far. You pick up Bobby Wagner, Jeremy Chin, Austin Eckler. There are some very interesting roster moves. I really am a big fan of Jeremy Chin coming from Carolina. He was one of my favorite safeties a few years ago. He was kind of the product of a bad environment. He really didn't get a chance to, show his talent because nobody was throwing that far. He wasn't be able to make a play downfield. Like they were stacking him on the line and helping on the run, and he wasn't able to get in the backfield because teams were just getting a lead versus the Panthers, and he was just obviously trying to stop the run because they're just milking clock. So I think Jeremy Chin is going to be a really solid pickup for this team. But I'm not saying it's the same, but this is giving me similar to early last season Texans vibe. You have a new quarterback, you have some new pieces, the wide receivers are kind of there, new quarterback, some talent. As long as they all work together, they have a chance to be a dark horse for this division. And I know I'm not expecting them to be the same exact, outcome as the Texans, but this could be a real culture reset. And I think the biggest thing I'm hoping for Dynel's sake is I just hope Jaden Daniels doesn't get killed behind that shitty ass offensive line.
Look, you took the words right out of my mouth when it came to that boy. Keep that boy healthy, please. Please.
Put on the jersey, say a prayer.
Right. But I got a little interesting prop bet for you, futures bet, Jared, right? Okay. So I was just chilling. I was on YouTube and I listened to like a YouTuber by the name of Ed Oliver. His name's Ed Oliver on YouTube, and he's one of those like Commanders followers, and he gives like Commanders updates. Bro, and I heard the craziest shit in the world. I kid you not this. So you know how there's over-unders in total regular season receiving yards, right? You can do it like that. What kind of season do you think Terry McLaurin's going to have?
Probably like over 1,000 yards. I'd say he's probably getting like 1,250.
Thank you. Okay. So I was listening to his video. Terry McLaurin opened up at 850 receiving yards over under.
What?
850. It is now at 925, which I still think is low.
That's low.
Me. That is still low.
The closer it gets to the beginning of the season, I think it's going to be probably close around 1,000.
And the Dotson trade probably helped that just a tiny bit. Probably added 25 yards to that, so that helps a lot. But their viewpoint, the Vegas' viewpoint on the Commanders is so bad, and I understand it. You're talking about a team who only brought back 55% of the roster. Now think about that. They only brought back 55% of the roster from last year. That is by far the most change in the roster in all of the NFL, by far. All right, you got a new head coach, new defensive coordinator, new offensive coordinator, Cliff Kingsbury, a new GM, a new owner from last year. Like everything is fresh and brand new, and I feel like that's only going to help the Commanders even more. People don't know this. The Commanders were 4-13 last year. They lost 6 one-score games. As bad as they were, they lost 6 one-score games. That is ridiculous. And now with the new regime, like I said, I'm not going to go over the roster moves. I mean, we signed a boatload of fucking players. Eckler, Tyler Biadasz, the Armstrong and Armstrong in the end. And who else was it? Eckler. I mean, there's so many players, but I can't even fucking think right now. But at the end of the day, it's going to be all about Jaden Daniels. The team will only go as far as Jaden Daniels will take him. He's looked tremendously good in both preseason games. He just looks so like natural. Like everything feels so natural, man. And I have not seen a quarterback feel that way in Washington in a very long time. Jared is right. I feel like we've gotten better at center with Biadasz and the guard, and we filled the guard spots. Okay, with Algretti, yeah. I mean, with Sam Cosmi, honestly, because Sam Cosmi's been a top guard. Let's be honest with you. And they signed Brandon Coleman. I mean, they drafted Brandon Coleman out the draft, so I get the insides. My two main things that I'm worried about is the outsides with Andrew Wiley, and right now my left tackle is still not to be named. So we are in a very precarious situation on offense. But the weapons are there. Brian Robinson's there. Eckler is there. McLaurin is there. De'Ami Brown has been showing out of camp. That's the whole reason why they traded Jahan Dotson. De'Ami Brown has outplayed Jahan Dotson, so he's starting to get some looks now. Ben Sennett, I feel like that was one of the most underrated draft picks I think we've had. Ben Sennett at the tight end position to help fill that tight end, because we have not had a great tight end since Vernon Davis. And we signed Vernon Davis when he was 35. So that lets you know, and we used to be a franchise filled with great tight ends. So to get Ben Sennett was huge. Luke McCaffrey, part of the lineage family. Maybe he
Hell
might
yeah.
be maybe he might be a dog, So there's a lot of excitement with the offense with Cliff Kingsbury calling the plays, and I feel like Cliff is going to scheme around the offensive line, so I think we're going to be okay there. My actual biggest concern is corner. I don't like.
Yeah.
Mike Sainstrel, great. I mean, he's looked like Mike Sainstrel is the rookie from Michigan, and we all know him as for the Michigan Wolverines. He's a dog. He's the best corner on the team by far. And for me to say that is sad. He's a second round pick, and that's what I'm saying. Like Benjamin St. Juice and Emmanuel Forbes are your starting corners, and they both got burnt by fourth string wide receivers in preseason. So I don't know what. So we know they're gonna pass all over us at this point. But I feel like what's gonna help us is having Payne and Allen on the same page again, and having that defensive, having that the front be really be stalwart. So that's gonna help a lot. I feel like we got tremendously better at linebacker. We went from having no linebackers to now having Bobby Wagner alongside Frank Louisville, who is a dog as far as I'm concerned, along with Jamie Davis on the other side. So there's a lot of excitement. Jeremy Chin, like you said, coming over from Carolina is huge. It's just there's going to be a lot of questions with basically the outsides, the corners on the defense on the outsides, and the outsides of the offensive line, and that's going to be the biggest questions. I still see us winning at least 8 games. I can see us 7. I can at least see us winning 7. I feel like our ceiling is 10.
Yeah, like I said, you guys are a dark horse, honestly, to win the division. I mean,
yes,
all you have to do is have a few things fall your way, and you have some veterans at linebacker. I like Louvu and Bobby Wagner. I mean, they're going to be patrolling the middle of the field. Bobby Wagner is still one of the fastest linebackers in the league. Brian Robinson and both Eckler in the backfield, 2 very solid running backs. Terry McLaurin, and you brought the GOAT, the Washington GOAT, Jamison Crowder back. Can't forget about him.
Facts.
They've just got depth. They have depth. And that's really all you need. So in the NFL, as long as you have depth, you have an opportunity. And that is exactly what the Commanders have, besides corner. But we'll see how that works out. So you're expecting a lot more like I said, dude, it's a culture reset. And that could mean a lot more than just a few pieces here and there. So let's move on to, unfortunately, like the rest of, with the majority of the divisions in the NFL, there's one team that kind of is in the dumpster, and this division has the New York Giants. So congratulations, Giants fans. It looks like we're at the last year of the Daniel Jones contract. I know it's kind of like the Sixers fans finally getting to that last year with Tobias Harris. Like, the light is at the end of the tunnel. I feel you guys. I feel you. 18th defensive line, which seems a little low to me. Lawrence and Burns, as Dino and I were talking off right before we started recording, we were kind of like talking how this defensive line is sneaky. I'm really high on Malik Neighbors. I kind of can see a path for the Giants to get to 7 wins, which is plus 120. But at the same time, there's also a path for them to get to 2 and 3 wins. You guys kind of saw Daniel Jones in the preseason this year. I mean, this guy has been throwing some errant passes, and he had 3 interceptions in his first 6 or 8 passes, whatever it was. That's not good. That's not good. That is a guy who's not seeing the field. That's a guy who's not trusting his reads. He's holding on to the ball a little bit more. This could also be the team that you play for the worst record in the NFL. It just could happen. There's a path. There is just not a lot on this team. For some reason, they keep benching Darius Slayton, and I feel like he's one of their best wide receivers. The dude drops one pass, and he gets like the doghouse treatment. So I don't know, man. Brian Daboll, I'm really at amends with you because I don't know what to believe anymore. I don't know what to believe. We kind of saw him, he wasn't taking accountability. He was having weird press conferences. I'm not sure what to believe in this team. Not that I have to believe anything, but what I will say is I'm not touching anything on this. I don't know what to expect. And the element of the unknown is something that I don't like in football. So I'm not going to even bother trying to figure this team out. I am staying away.
I'm not going to lie to you. Brian Daboll, come sit down, sir.
Oh God.
Yep. You might be in the doghouse, bro. And I'm not gonna say it's your fault. It's honestly not your fucking fault. They set you up for the worst feeder disaster since day one. Okay. Whoever decided to put these motherfuckers on Hard Knocks, get these fuckers off of Hard Knocks. What are we doing? I mean, like, did you hear the conversation, bro? Literally, Hard Knocks is literally a depiction of why the Giants are what they are. Literally. Like, it is so annoying to see how those contracts talks went on. That was embarrassing. That was very embarrassing. Okay. And you lost. I'm sorry. People say, 50%. No, this is not. You lost 100% of your offense to Saquon Barkley. Okay. As far as I'm concerned. And for the people, for some of the Giants fans that I hear talking shit on Saquon Barkley for leaving, and Tiki Barber saying, "Oh, you're dead to me because you fucking left." Well, what was the fucking loyalty you had from the New York Giants? You didn't get it. Just because Tiki Barber, just because you got their loyalty, doesn't mean Saquon did. He absolutely did not. He did not. Okay, and I get he's been injury riddled. But why has he been injury riddled? You guys didn't protect him. I mean, shit, what's crazy about it is the line is so bad, you had to protect Saquon Barkley just as much as you had to protect Daniel Jones. That is terrible. That is terrible. And Wink Martindale, probably honestly one of the better coaches you guys probably had. He was defensive coordinator for the Giants last year. You let him go. I mean, granted, there was beef between him and Dable anyway, but you let him go. But as far as I'm concerned, Brian Dable, the reason why you were in this hot seat too is not entirely all your fault, but you've been married and tied to Daniel Jones. And they said, can Brian Dable make Daniel Jones into Josh Allen? I'm going to say this. Brian Dable, I knew you wasn't. Okay? And it's not your fault. I know you weren't. You were set up for disaster. Daniel Jones is a fucking disaster. He's a quarterback from Duke. Okay, we talk about North Carolina. Well, guess what? Duke's a North Carolina school, so you might as well throw that in the same goddamn field. So it is very irritating to see this franchise who won 2 Super Bowls in this millennium with Eli Manning, even though he was probably the most average quarterback. You know what? I'm not getting into that. At the end of the day, it's really tough to see the Giants. Well, not really tough because I can fucking enjoy it because I'm a Commanders fan. But from a football fan standpoint, it's really tough to see a high pedigree team in the Giants being a downfall like this. I mean, they are really, literally the laughingstock of the NFL. Literally the laughingstock of the NFL. And your front seven, the best thing about your team is the front seven. Your front seven, like I said, your front seven is sneaky good. You know, along with Thibodeau, Lawrence, Burns, you know, but everything else, man, y'all some dog shit. I'm gonna be right. God, y'all some dog shit. And you know what? Shit. Maybe I might bite my fucking tongue because you always end up finding a way to beat us any fucking way. So we're some fucking bums. But I feel like this is a new era. And y'all, they're just bad. From top down, GM. Your coach is probably your best asset, but he's gonna get fired because he's married to Daniel Jones. So yeah, you guys will probably doing a whole reset after this year.
Yeah, I agree with the one thing you said was all the Giants fans coming for Barkley and saying he's unloyal and shit. I'll tell you what, if the Giants couldn't see value, but Howie Roseman does in a running back, it's got to be evident because Howie Roseman is notorious for not signing running backs at a premium. He will definitely draft. He will go cheap. The exception to that was LaShawn McCoy. Other than that, there is no running back that they put on a pedestal for value. And if the Eagles go out of their way to sign Barkley for all of that money, then the Giants are just blind. So that's on them. That's enough of that shitty ass franchise. I'm not going to sit here and act like they're all, flowers and dandelions because it's not. That team, like I said, they have Dino. Could they win 7 games? They could find a fucking way. However, they also could be the worst record in the NFL. There's no questions about it. So we're not going.
I'm gonna bring a little fact to you for real quick. Honestly, and the path to 7 games is really real. And back in 2022, when Jones and Barkley was both healthy, there was a top 10 run game. But now Barkley's gone. So and you got Singletary. So it's you literally you kicked your own ass in so many ways.
Yeah, you get what you deserve, as a wise man once said. So we're not gonna beat that dead horse too much. We'll let the Giants fans of this podcast live a little bit. So this has been the much anticipated NFC East divisional preview. We have 1 or 2 divisions to go. We have the AFC and NFC West. Those will be released sometime next week from when you listen to these. If you listen to this episode early, Dino, any last listeners before we get out of here?
Yeah, real quick. Also, the Johns, you guys let go of Xavier McKinney, which was dumb as shit too.
Yeah,
but now same message every time. Same message every time. Knuckleheads. Follow us at Shredder Spread _ on X. Also follow me at Dyneezy DYNEEZY. Like I said, changes happen throughout the season. Changes happen throughout the preseason. For all we know, So keep an eye out for me for my future bets out there. I'm out there. I'm going to be definitely posting some future bets. Especially with that Terry McLaurin one. That Terry McLaurin one was crazy. So definitely just tune in. Make sure you guys tell everybody, tell your friends, man, and let's get this popping, man. It's going to be a fun football season.
He said it best. We're getting closer to kickoff. Thanks again for tuning in to the NFC East Divisional Preview on the Shred the Spread podcast. Until next week, we'll see you.
Peace.